بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين. The overall topic that we are talking about, that we're discussing, was becoming Hussaini. That after these 10 days, that a believer, when he approaches the month of Muharram, this month of Muharram is a spiritual journey for him to reach Imam Hussain alayhi salam. We said at the beginning that the core of Karbala is how the name has. It says it's bala and calamity. And the first step for us to start this journey is to understand and recognize the bala of Imam Hussain. The bala that made the angels weep. Angels that don't weep because they belong to the heavens. It made them weep. And then we said the next step, we talked about incorporating bala and managing bala in our own lives. We said that one of the greatest actions of the Ahlul Bayt was Karbala. And we learned from Imam Hussain alayhi salam this, that how you can be strong and be a slave of Allah and use this ubudiyyat for you to be one of the strongest of people and to overcome your pains and struggles by being a submissive servant of Allah. And you look at the commands of God and you research the commands of God and you submit. You look at the decrees of Allah and you know that they are from Him and you submit. You submit to His will, and this gives you the power for you to overcome your bala, trials and tribulations. And last night we began the topic of grieving for Imam Hussain. Grief and sorrow and huzn. And inshallah we'll be continuing tonight about huzn and grief. We said that huzn itself is not good. It makes us sick, it makes us depressed. But huzn and grief for Imam Hussain is a different type of grief, is a different type of huzn. When we are grieving for Imam Hussain alayhi salam, we are aligning ourselves and matching ourselves with the angels and with the entire universe. We said this narration from Imam Hassan alayhi salam that Shaykh Saduq lived about 1,000 years ago, more than 1,000 years ago. In his amali, his discussions, his classes that he had, and it became a book. He mentioned the narration that Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Imam Hussain alayhi salam were talking. And there Imam Hussain alayhi salam feels sorry for his older brother Imam Hassan. But Imam Hassan alayhi salam says, وَلَا يَوْمْ كَيَوْمِكَ يَا أَبَا عَبْدِ اللَّهِ. No day is like your day, Hussain. Then he says this statement, that وَتُمْدِرُ السَّمَاءِ وَرَمَادًا وَدَمَاءً. That from the heavens, from the sky, ashes and blood come down after your martyrdom. وَيُبْكِي عَلَيْكَ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ وَيُبْكِي عَلَيْكَ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ. And that everything will cry for you, Hussain. So when you hear a sentence, especially those that understand jurisprudence and understand the word shay, kullu shay, do you have anything more all-encompassing than this word in Arabic? Every single thing is crying for you, Hussain. Kullu shay. So you are with grief, you are aligning yourselves with kullu shay, with everything that Allah has created. Everybody, all the angels, everything is crying for Hussain. Therefore, this kind of grief is different than other types of grief. This type of grief, as we said in the narrations, calls it tasbih. This type of grief is glorification of Allah. This type of grief is worship of Allah. Therefore, it does not hurt you, it does not make you sick. Indeed, it cures you. Gives you shafa, this type of huzn. And that is One of the beautiful things about the huzn and grief of Imam Hussain, as you brothers and sisters, I'm sure you felt it. What do you feel when you come to the majlis of Imam Hussain alayhi salam? Those that have been coming every night, and those that from this majlis go to that majlis, to this majlis, maybe separate majlis in different nights. In one night, what do they feel? They feel this pleasure and joy that Imam Hussain alayhi salam and his majalis have. This type of excitement, lack of a better word, a type of intoxication, they say. A type of intoxication that you begin to love Imam Hussain and you express your emotions and your connections to Imam Hussain. And this expression becomes so valuable that you, if they gave you the world and what is in the world, you would not give it up for this love of Imam Hussain, this fire. And that is what the mu'mineen, the Shia, and the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, they have for so many years. They have this love, this intoxication for Imam Hussain that is unparalleled, that is precious. If somebody doesn't have this, and we said that the grief of Imam Hussain alayhi salam also brings this type of expression and this pleasure. And we said that in this dunya, the love of Imam Hussain has pleasure, and in the akhirat it has pleasure. We said so much so in the narrations that those that sit with Imam Hussain, they don't even want to go to heaven. Before they're entering heaven, they're sitting with Imam Hussain, they don't want to go to heaven. The huris come to bring them to heaven, they don't even look at them. They're staying because Imam Hussain is the ultimate pleasure for them. So Imam Hussain is our akhirat, and also Imam Hussain is our dunya, because if you truly reach Imam Hussain, you have this pleasure, and we said this intoxication that you feel on the majalis of Imam Hussain. Every night you brothers and sisters are coming to the majalis of Imam Hussain, and you feel this every day. You have to come back. Why? There's this sense of this is joy and pleasure that this brings you back. And those that have visited the shrines of the Ahlul Bayt, those that visited the shrine of Imam Hussain, they have that same feeling. They have felt this feeling. They don't want to go anywhere else. As you, I'm sure, brothers and sisters, when you have this feeling, you're waiting the entire year for Muharram to come. You're waiting the entire year for Muharram to come because you're becoming close with Imam Hussain. When you become close with Imam Hussain, it is one of the greatest pleasures. And those that are, it is the night of the 6th of Muharram, you look at Ashura is coming up close, and you have the sorrow that, oh, the majalis of Imam Hussain are going to end. What am I going to do then? I was so happy in the majlis of Imam Hussain. So you feel the happiness, this joy, even though we're wearing black, we're hitting ourselves, we're crying. But inside you, there's this joy because you have connected with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And that is how the grief of Imam Hussain is different than other griefs, because inside it there is this joy. There are types of maybe different madhahibs and different schools of thought and different types of brothers and sisters that they practice religion very dryly. It's very dry. It's just about salat, wudu, fasting, and then more salat, wudu, and fasting. They don't feel this love. They don't have this feeling that you, the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, have. They don't feel this intoxication, this excitement with Imam Hussain. When somebody doesn't have this, and their entire life is just commands and commands and commands, and there's an abd, a slave, a servant, what happens at the end? Sometimes this could have a very negative effect. It means that all these commands they're following, but there's no expression. They become qasiyul qalb. Their hearts become like a rock. And that is why maybe some of the reasons why they may have such very detrimental acts or violent acts, because they become qasiyul qalb. They act the commands of Allah, they act upon it, but they don't enjoy the love of the Ahlul Bayt. They don't have the love of the Ahlul Bayt. They don't have this expression. And what does this cause? When you have religion without nur, the Ahlul Bayt are nur, Imam Hussain is nur, you have worse dhulamat. And they do crimes that maybe before Islam, they didn't do those crimes. They do more crimes after Islam, because it's an Islam without the Ahlul Bayt. It is darkness upon darkness. So it's very important that we share this grief and this expression and this love that we have for Imam Hussain. This is how we get nur. This is deen. This is religion. Hussain is religion. When they come, how many narrations we have? Hal ad-din illa al-hub. Is religion anything else but love? And what is the essence of religion, the pillars of religion? Hubbuna Ahlul Bayt. The Ahlul Bayt are the essence, the pillars of religion. So brothers and sisters, when you are coming to the majalis of Imam Hussain, remember this is something that is needed. You need to cry for Imam Hussain. We have to cry for Imam Hussain. We have to ask Allah to give us more tears for Imam Hussain. Don't think that what we do is a lot. It is nothing. As the great Marja Ayatollah Wahid Khorasani says, if the entire world were to burn down for Imam Hussain, it wouldn't be enough. And this is a true statement. He's not saying it metaphorically. Because the tears of Imam Zaman and Ziyad Nahiya, and we'll read this inshallah, that he says, if my tears run out, instead of crying for you, my tears, I will cry blood. It's not a metaphor. This is true. Because Imam Rida alayhi salam says, he says that your musibat, Imam Hussain, has injured our eyelids. Imam Rida was how many years after Imam Hussain alayhi salam? How many generations? How much, Ayatollah Wahid again says, how much must somebody cry that his eyelids become damaged? These are not metaphors, this is reality. Because they see the reality of Ashura and we hear about what happened in Karbala. They see the reality of Imam Hussain and they see the reality of his enemies. We said that Bala brings us close to Allah. We say that Bala, that there are some types of Bala that we can change, we can separate from our lives. But the Bala that is our decree that comes to us, and especially to the believers, as we say, Allah gives them just how a child gets milk, his mother gives him milk, Allah gives the believers Bala. And we said, of course, we don't do dua for Bala. We do dua that Bala stays away from us. But this Bala is one of the greatest ways to reach Allah. The action of Imam Hussain itself was Bala. Karbala, we said, was one of the best actions of the infallibles was endurance and in the Bala that Allah gave and having patience. Another way, and we said that when you deal with this Bala, we say that ibadat can get you close to Allah, or Bala can get you, having patience and Bala can get you close to Allah. But we said one of the differences is that Bala doesn't have ujb, doesn't have pride in it, doesn't have arrogance in it. When a calamity befalls somebody, he's not arrogant. He reaches Allah without arrogance. But somebody can worship Allah the entire time, but in reality has distanced himself from Allah because he has arrogance and ujb. Also, a great thing about crying for Imam Hussain and the Bala of Imam Hussain, the grief of Imam Hussain, the huzn of Imam Hussain, is this. When you cry for Imam Hussain, I ask you this, brothers and sisters, do you become arrogant? Do you get prideful? How can you become prideful when your master has been martyred, your hero has been martyred, his family has been martyred? Inside it there's bala, right? Because you're afflicting. There's affliction. So crying for Imam Hussain, truly grieving for Imam Hussain also is a worship that doesn't have kibr and takabbur or arrogance. It is sincere. That's why you've heard so many stories. People, they have different actions for Allah. In the Day of Judgment, they are not accepted. But crying for Imam Hussain is accepted because there's no arrogance in it. It's sincere. When you cry, that's a sincere feeling. It's coming from your heart. It's not fake. So this is one of the benefits of Imam Hussain alayhi salam and grief, is that this is an ibadat, is one of the greatest ibadats, as different marajah have said. Ayatollah Shubayri Zanjani, I was reading another marajah in Qom. This is one of the best ways to reach Allah, and it doesn't bring you arrogance. It doesn't bring you kibr. The crying of Imam Hussain is in so many different narrations. And some of the narrations and some of the benefits I'll list for you and mention to you, brothers and sisters. One is that when you cry for Imam Hussain, it increases your love for Imam Hussain. It is a relationship. When you cry more, this say Muharram, next Muharram, or in the next year, you have a better connection with Imam Hussain. You have a better separation and hatred for his enemies when you cry for Imam Hussain. It is a relationship that we have with the Ahlul Bayt that we're developing in our lives. The 70, 80 years or 100 years that Allah has given us, we're strengthening our relationship with Imam Hussain. So when you cry for Imam Hussain and you ask Allah to give you tears, and it's one of the most important things to ask for when we enter the majalis of Imam Hussain, to enter with good manners, with adab, to have a heart that's broken. Second is that we recognize that when you cry for Imam Hussain, you're crying for the Ahlul Bayt, which is the correct form of religion. You're aligning yourselves with haqq and what's real. You're also protecting the symbols of Allah, the signs of Allah. You're preserving them with your emotions. We were talking with this brother and he was saying too that could Ashura just be remembered by just writing and intellectually? If it wasn't being used, our emotions weren't used, would it be saved for us for so many years? No. So this tears is actually preserving Ashura. Crying for Imam Hussain is preserving Ashura. In the narrations, those that cry for Imam Hussain, another benefit is life in paradise. We've heard so many narrations. Imam Baqir alayhi salam said, one who sheds tears while mourning over Hussain, Allah places him in paradise. It is also a place of healing. The crying and tears of Imam Hussain, he cures you. How many people do you know? You've even heard stories, either from the majalis of Imam Hussain, or the shrine of Imam Hussain, or the shrine of the Ahlul Bayt, they've gone shafa and cured. It gives you healing, shafa of the heart, of the body. Ayatollah Bururjerdi was one of the great fuqaha from 50 years ago. He said he owes his eyes to Imam Hussain, his vision. He didn't have glasses at an old age. And he tells the story that when he was crying for Imam Hussain, he sees some of the dirt maybe underneath the feet of people that were commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Hussain. He takes a little bit of this dirt under their feet because it was Hussaini, it was from Imam Hussain, and puts it in his eye. And after that he says, Ayatollah Bururjerdi, that the reason he doesn't even need glasses, his eyes used to hurt. His vision is cured because of the love of Imam Hussain. Another alim, it's interesting, tonight we'll mention there's two people that used to study together. Ayatollah Ghulam Raza Yazdi, and these stories are during the time period of Ayatollah Bururjerdi 50 years ago, and Sayyid Quchani. These two used to study together and they used to be friends. So much so when they departed, one would go to another place, they were very, very upset. They were very close to each other. Ayatollah Ghulam Raza Yazdi would call the majlis of Imam Hussain as the doctor. I need to go to the hospital, and I need to go to the doctor. And he was feeling very bad. They take him and carry him. There wasn't a car then. There wasn't on an animal. They take him to the majalis of Imam Hussain. After drinking a little tea that was left in somebody's cup, stayed there for a little bit, he began to feel better. He had certainty and yaqeen that the majlis of Imam Hussain cures. And it says in our du'as that when you want to do du'a, do it with certainty. Don't be weak. Don't have shak. Don't have doubt. Do it with certainty. You've seen people that come to the shrine of Imam Hussain, with certainty they say, do this shafa. And then he began to feel better and came back walking himself. He didn't need to have somebody take him. So the majalis of Imam Hussain, crying for Imam Hussain, heals. Those that mourn for Imam Hussain, they will not cry on the day of judgment, and it is a safety from the hellfire. A question that I have for you, brothers and sisters, let's first recite a salawat. sometimes we look at actions and it says in the narration, mathalan, it says that if you do this action, you're going to get this reward. If you do this dua, you're going to get this reward. If you cry for Imam Hussain, you go to heaven. If you do ziyarat of Imam Hussain, you go to heaven. It's important to know this fact, and this is something I read in this. Recently, there was this maqatil of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, the way that he was killed. It was collected recently from the ulama in Iran. He tried to find the more accurate ones, the correct ones. In it, there's a section, because this was so important, they put it in this maqatil book, that this is, when you read these narrations about thawab and about the reward for actions, it's not the relationship of illat and ma'lul. It's not the relationship of cause and effect, meaning that cause and effect is something that if the conditions appear, that you'll see that effect 100%. They say it's the relationship between muqtadi and mani', meaning that something has the capability to provide you with such a result, as long as there's not something that is blocking it or prohibiting it from happening. So there's two types of relationships, and those that want to study can research about illiyat and research about muqtazi and mani'. They say that these narrations that are about crying for Imam Hussain and about going into heaven and the reward are of muqtadi and mani', meaning that they have the capability of doing this act. If the condition exists and if there's not a mani', something that blocks that act. Therefore, not everybody that does that action will get that reward. It has the capability of doing it. If it's done right, it will have that effect. If there's no barriers, it will have that effect. Right? So, for example, you see I read this dua for 40 nights or 40 mornings and I don't see the 12th Imam. It has the capability for you to introduce you to the 12th Imam, as long as you don't have any barriers, you don't have any sins. Your sins are barriers. Sometimes our sins are barriers from allowing the effect of these actions. Therefore, a true, pure person without sins and does this act correctly with all the conditions, they will see the result. Inshallah, we will get the result. We do dua that He doesn't look at our sins, He overlooks our sins. But we have barriers. And the more barriers we have, the less of effect these ahadith have, the effects of them. So it's important to keep that in mind when you say, for example, someone that sheds a tear for Imam Hussain, he'll go into heaven. It has the capability of taking him to heaven. It has that isti'dad. Another important thing is sometimes people are foolish and they think that Imam Hussain alayhi salam needs us to pray for, needs us to cry for him. That Karbala is in a way that we have to cry for Imam Hussain. Karbala needs it, or Imam Hussain alayhi salam needs it. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, of course, doesn't need us to cry for him. Even on the day of Ashura, if there's nobody that would cry for Imam Hussain, Karbala and Ashura would still have this grief. Look on the day of Ashura. What does Imam Hussain alayhi salam do? He asks for help. He asks for help. He says, come and help me. They call it istinsar. Give me, help me, aid me. And I'll ask you this question. Does Imam Hussain alayhi salam really need help on the day of Ashura? Does he not know he's going to be martyred? Does he not know he's outnumbered? Then why is he asking for help? Why does Imam Hussain alayhi salam need help? He doesn't need help. He wants to help us. When Imam Hussain alayhi salam is saying, come and help me, he's actually in another way saying, let me guide you. Let me take you to heaven. This is the lut and the fadl of the Ahlul Bayt. They don't need us. We need them. And every time you read about in the maqtal that Imam Hussain asks for help, it's to guide them. When we see that we need to cry for Imam Hussain, the Ahlul Bayt say, cry for Imam Hussain, it's for us. It's not for them. All the angels are crying for the Ahlul Bayt. All the angels are crying for Imam Hussain. They don't need our tears. In some of the ziyarat Jami Kabira, it says, ظَلَّ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ لَكُمْ to the Ahlul Bayt. ظَلَّ كُلُّ, everything is humble. Everything is humble to the Ahlul Bayt. They're dhalil and humble. They have powers. They don't need us. Did Imam Ali alayhi salam need anybody in Khaybar? When he broke open the door of the fortress, did he need people? They say that when they came and got one of the leaders of the Yahud then in Khaybar, and he was explaining how Imam Ali, what happened. He said that we were in our house and we felt everything in the house shaking. And he said we thought it was an earthquake. And they told us it was Ali ibn Abi Talib has come. Please give us salawat. So does the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib need our help? When he asks for help, he's the son of the conqueror of Khaybar. ظَلَّ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ لَكُمْ. Everything will be humble with the wilayat of the Ahlul Bayt, but because it was the decree of Allah, he didn't use the Khaybari power that he had. How come grief has so much reward for Imam Hussain? How come when we cry for Imam Hussain, maybe one of the ways we can explain it, why crying for Imam Hussain, being mahzoon for Imam Hussain has so much reward? We read Ziyarat Ashura. Look at Ziyarat Ashura. It has the statement, وَأَسْأَلُهُ اللَّهُ بِحَقِّكُمْ. I also beseech Allah in your name, وَبِشَانِ الَّذِي عِنْدَهُ أَنْ يُعْطِيَنِي بِمُصَابِي بِكُمْ, to recompense me for my commiserations for you, أَفْضَلَ مَا يُعْطِي مُصَابًا بِمُصِيبَتِهِ. Give me the most favorite thing that He has ever given as compensation for misfortunes that has afflicted anyone. When somebody has misfortunes, Allah gives him compensations. Allah gives him reward. In the ziyarat, it's telling me, we're reciting that Allah, allow me, because I have now been afflicted with the huzn of Imam Hussain. Now musibat has hit in me now. Now bala has and calamity has struck on me. So now I am of those that deserve recompense from Allah. And it says, give me of the greatest of recompense. So when you have grief for Imam Hussain alayhi salam, it's as if you become part of Karbala. You are sharing the affliction of Imam Hussain. We are sharing the greatest action of the Ahlul Bayt. Because that bala, which is the nur from Karbala, now becomes that nur inside you from the Ahlul Bayt. You are sharing, you are one of those people, and it has, again, the capability to do this, not maybe for everybody. But huzn has the capability to make you of the companions of Imam Hussain alayhi salam that died for him. Because now you share and you wish to become part of Karbala. Now you are part of those that cry in the entire establishment of Karbala. Now you have entered this camp. Therefore, grief and crying for Imam Hussain, you are sharing their thawab also. We will mention this, inshallah, another night. Who cries the most in this dunya for Imam Hussain alayhi salam? I ask you, brothers and sisters. Who is truly mahzoon? Imam Zaman. You've heard they say, especially in these nights, give some sadaqah, especially the night of Ashura, for the heart of Imam Zaman. Because it is during these nights, it's very difficult for the Imam, the burden of Ashura. I will mention this, inshallah, other nights, that the night of Ashura is actually important. I was listening to something today, it said that, how do we know if we'll be alive in Ashura? So let's just say some of it now. Maybe we're not alive. When the center and the core of Ashura is the huzn and grief. We said bala and this huzn and grief. Who is crying the most for Imam Hussain alayhi salam? Imam Zaman. The core of Ashura and grieving and all the virtues and blessings and barakat that Allah gives to the believers for crying for Imam Hussain starts with Imam Zaman. Because he is the person that is truly mahzoon and he is the person that is truly pure. Then from him it branches to everybody else. So just remember, if you're here or not, the night of Ashura is also the night of Imam al-Zaman. Just how Laylatul Qadr, the center of Laylatul Qadr with the Tanazzul al-Malaika, I don't want to explain too much, but with the dissensions of the angels and the decrees happen and they occur because to the heart of Imam Zaman, and he is the center of Laylatul Qadr. We'll explain inshallah. Imam Zaman is also the center of Ashura because he is truly grieving for Imam Hussain, and all the barakats of this crying and weeping come from our attachment to Imam Zaman and come from Imam Zaman to us. So each person has a different ma'rifat and understanding of the bala of Imam Hussain and the maqam of Imam Hussain and his position, and then they will have that grief and we said that the center and the top is the 12th Imam. Then the prophets and the other holy people that understood Karbala. The more we understand Islam, the more Allah gives us, opens our heart to Islam. The more we understand walayat of the Ahlul Bayt. And let me tell you this too, crying for Imam Hussain is the door of understanding imamat. When you understand imamat and walayat, when I say these things, I don't say as if I know, if I have reached anything. I don't know anything about imamat. I have not reached anything. These are things that I've heard and read and I would like to share. I do not proclaim that I'm somebody that has reached this. But those that come to Imam Hussain alayhi salam in Ashura and they understand him more and they have purified themselves more, studied more, and also gained true ma'rifat, and Allah has given them this nur of ma'rifat, they will understand Karbala more and they will understand Bala more. Some people in history have written, remember I said that Ayatollah Ghulam Raza Yazdi had a study partner, Sayyid Quchani. He, in one of his books, mentions, and Allah has shown him a little bit of Karbala, and you look at the grief that he has. And they say the reality, and I said this before, that Ayatollah Wahid Khurasani says there is this a'mal you can do, that you can see Ashura. He doesn't say what it is, but you won't be able to see all of it. It's too difficult for you to bear it in reality, because to understand Imam Hussain, to understand Ashura. They say you'll see Ashura, but from the part that Imam Hussain alayhi salam fell from his horse on, you will not be able to see. That is for Imam Zaman to see. It's not for us to see the reality of that. So Sayyid Quchani was once going to Karbala in the day of Ashura, and he didn't take water with him. He said that on the way there are different people, I'll get water from them. He begins to walk towards Karbala on the day of Ashura, and he writes this himself. And he is a very great scholar, and as I mentioned, but he had a great study partner. So the things that he's writing about his own life, we accept. He's walking and he asks for water. They don't have water. He gets thirsty. Then they say he gets so thirsty, this thirst becomes atash, great thirst. There, he's walking towards Karbala, walking and walking, and he begins to see some of what happened in Ashura that day. He begins to see the day that after they've killed Imam Hussain, and they begin to burn the tents of the Ahlul Bayt, of the family of Imam Hussain. He sees, he's there. He sees they're attacking the daughters of Imam Hussain, they're attacking the sons of Imam Hussain. The little children I'm talking about, some say 23 children. And their aunt, Sayyid Zainab, Salamullah alayha, tells the children, run. And each one runs in a different direction. He's looking at this, but he can't help them. He can only observe. He comes to help, but he can't. He's observing. And he sees after this, suddenly he wakes up and he sees that he is in Karbala. He was running and running and running when he saw this experience that Allah allowed him to see. He was running, his feet were being cut open, was bleeding and bleeding. He didn't even notice it. He was just running and running and running, and he was being burnt by what he was watching from the children of the Imam Hussain alayhi salam. So he reaches Karbala, And this is one glimpse that he saw, one little part of Ashura, that he began to run and his feet were bloody. He gets to Karbala. He begins to wash his feet and everybody's looking at him. His face is full of tears and sweat. There he sees, the rest of the story is this. He says he sees that there's a clock and it begins to ring a bell. And instead of hearing the bell, he hears Hal min Nasir, Hal min Nasir, Hal min Nasir, Hal min Nasir. Is there anybody to help me? Is there anybody to aid me? He says, Ajab, it's been 1200 years Imam Hussain is still asking, is anybody there to help me? And then the clock of the Haram of Abu al-Fadl Abbas, it rings. But instead of hearing the ring, he hears this, says, Labbaik, Labbaik, Labbaik. I answer your call, Hussain. I answer your call. I answer your call. 1400 years, Abbas is answering the call of Imam Hussain. Tonight is the night that we remember one of the children of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. We mentioned Abdullah. Tonight is the night of Qasim. So that we can begin, let's give a salawat. Some say he was 14 years old. And that he wanted to go to become martyred with Imam Hussain, but they wouldn't give him permission. They wouldn't give him permission because he was the brother of Imam Hassan. Imam Hussain would see his madlum. When he'd look at him, I'm sure he would see the madlum face of his brother inside him, of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. So he didn't want him to go. He was too young. There, Qasim ibn al-Hassan asks Imam Hussain, his uncle, he says, will I be among the martyrs? And Hussain ibn Ali says, how do you see death? He says, oh uncle, death to me is sweeter than honey. On the day of Ashura, Qasim, like his other cousins, he came to enter Karbala, the battlefield, but he was prohibited. There his mother, and some of the history it says, his mother brings him this letter from Imam Hassan alayhi salam. It says, my son Qasim, a day will come when my brother Hussain will be facing an enemy army of tens of thousands. That will be the day when Islam will need to be saved by sacrifice. You must represent me on that day. You must represent Imam Hassan alayhi salam on that day. So after reciting this letter, Imam Hussain alayhi salam gives him permission, this child, to go to fight against the enemies of God. There it is said that Imam Hussain and Qasim begin to cry before he goes to the battlefield when he's saying farewell. Imam Hussain alayhi salam begins to cry. There are different types, different parts where Imam Hussain cried in Ashura. One was in Ali Akbar, when his son Ali Akbar was martyred. Imam Hussain, it says, Arkha aynan wa buka. And he said, Ala dunya ba'dika al-afa. May the world be worthless after you, Ali. And in the Al-Ghaman, one of the streams of the Euphrates area, again Imam Hussain cried in Al-Ghaman. When Abbas alayhi salam came and said to go to the battlefield, فَبَكَى الْحُسَيْنِ بُكَاءً شَدِيدًا. Again Imam Hussain cried. Abbas becomes martyred. Look at the calamity of Abbas. That Imam Hussain alayhi salam is coming back from the Al-Ghaman and he's still crying. In some of the history it says he's wiping his tears with his sleeve. He comes back to the tents, munkasiran, hazinan, bakiyan, with grief, crying. Imam Hussain comes back to the tents, and the women there, they see Imam Hussain, and they begin to cry, and Imam Hussain again begins to cry in the tent for Abbas. So Imam Hussain is saying farewell to Qasim. He is the reminder of Imam Hassan, his brother. What I'm going to read to you is from Tariq al-Tabari, and also it's from Shaykh al-Mufid, also brings in Irshad. It says, it was like, the narrator says this, how Qasim ibn Hassan was martyred. He said, it was like among us, many of Hussein's supporters that has killed, when a young lad came to us. خرج إلينا غلام كأن وجهه شقة قمر. His face was young like the first splinter of the new moon when Qasim came to the battlefield. He carried a sword. He was wearing a shirt and waistcloth, izar, and a pair of sandals of straps that were broken. Umar ibn Sa'd ibn Nufayl Azdi says, let me attack him. I said, praise be to Allah. The narrator says, praise be to Allah. What do you want to do that for? Leave him. Well, even one of the family of Hussein remains, that will be enough to take vengeance on you for his death. But he insisted to kill Qasim. By Allah, let me attack him. So he rushed against Qasim, and he did not turn back. There they say Qasim, he did rajas, he did this type of poetry in war that they do. إن تنكروني فأنا فرع الحسن سبط النبي المصطفى والمؤتمن هذا حسين كالأصيل المرتهن بين أناس لا سقوا صوب المزن. If you don't know me, I'm the son of Hassan, the grandson of Prophet Mustafa, the chosen, the trustworthy. This is my uncle that is like a prisoner full of difficulties amongst the people that hopefully they won't drink from the rain. So the Maqtal says that there he rushed out and they attacked Qasim. Qasim rushed against them. He didn't turn back until that person struck his head with his sword and split his head into two. The young lad fell face downwards and called out, فَقَالَ يَا عَمَّا, O uncle, فَجَلَّ الْحُسَيْنَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ كَمَا يُجَلِّ الصَّقَرِ. And just as a hawk comes, Imam Hussain came to his help. He launched an attack like a raging lion and struck Umar ibn Sa'd ibn Nufayl with his sword. That man tried to fend off the blow with his arm, but was cut off from the elbow and gave a great shriek of pain. There, the narrator says, I saw Hussein standing by the head of the young lad, looking at his feet. Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, was saying, بُعْدًا لِقَوْمٍ قَتَلُوكَ. May the people who have caused you death perish. وَمَنْ خَصَمَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فِيكَ جَدُّكَ. For the one who will oppose them on the day of resurrection on your behalf will be your grandfather. Then Hussein says, عَزَّ وَاللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عَمِّكَ أَن تَدْعُوهُ فَلَا يُجِيبَكَ. It is hard on your uncle that you called him and he did not answer you. وَيُجِيبَكَ ثُمَّ لَا يَنْفَعَكَ صَوْتٌ. That he didn't answer you, rather he answered you, but your cry was too late. Then Imam Hussain alayhi salam carried Qasim in his arms. There the narrator talks about